So we're going on with the last chapter of your consumer math, chapter 12, and we're talking about ratio analysis. Just remember that ratios are percentages. So whenever you have to find a ratio, you're finding a ratio and it turns into a fraction. You're comparing two items and then on to a percent. So ratio analysis here, since ratios show the relationship between two items, they are often used by business managers to analyze the financial position of the business. So they're looking at your ratio here to analyze how your business is doing. So there's two different kinds of ratios that they're interested in this analysis, and one is the current ratio and the other is the quick ratio. The quick ratio is just to see, okay, how am I doing? Is my business making money? So the current ratio is found by dividing, as you can see here in this, let's see. The current ratio here is dividing the current assets by the current liabilities. Current remembers that things that are flowing in and out that are not fixed, that's current. So that's how you find the current ratio. Just think, current means you're always you're going to compare your assets to your liabilities. And then on to the quick ratio here at the bottom. So the quick ratio is also called the acid test ratio, and it's the relationship between the most liquid current assets, which are just your cash and your accounts receivable. So you look at the cash and then the cash that you are owed, and then divide that by the liabilities, the current liabilities, and this will give you a quick ratio. And the quick ratio of a 1 is a sign of being a good liquid. That means if you have at least 1, you're okay. The current ratio, if you're doing the current ratio and taking all of the current assets together, you should be at least 2. So that should be at least 2. This current ratio should be at least 2, and this quick ratio should be at least 1. So you see this picture here? You can see the picture of the current assets and the current liabilities, and you're finding the ratio between those two. Hopefully your current assets are more and you're taking in more money, or you're going to be at a loss of money, right? So you have the current assets and your current liabilities, and you just easily just take them and divide them and find what the ratio number is. And it should be always use assets are going to be on the numerator at the top, and the liabilities are going to be on the bottom of your fraction there. And then you'll find it has to be in the positive, at least a 1 or a 2 when you're looking for the current ratio, or the quick ratio has to be at least 1. Okay, so that's not too hard. So let's look at this model problem real quick here. Let's see if I can figure this out here. There we go, model problem. Likes Candy Store has a current asset of $12,650 and a current liabilities of $4,890. Find the current ratio to the nearest tenth. You just divide that out. 12,650 divided by 4,890, and you got a current ratio. As you divide that out, if you divide it on your calculator or something, your current ratio is 2.6. Remember, it should be at least 2, so it looks like you're doing good. So let's go on to the next model problem here. So we have find the current ratio and the quick ratio for a business whose balance sheet is shown. So you got the assets on one side and the liabilities on the other side. So you got the assets. Total assets are 9,740. Liabilities 94,000. Or right, 94,740 and 94,740 came out equal there in that situation on your balance sheet. To find the current ratio, divide the total current assets by the total current liabilities. So we're taking that from here. So we have the current assets, which are the current assets up here. We take the current assets, not the fixed assets, and you'll have 10,140. Let me point that out. So you have 10,240 divided by the current liabilities. Here are the current liabilities, 2,850, and you get the current ratio of 3.6. The quick ratio is the cash and receivables. So let's find the cash and receivables. So cash on hand is $600. Cash in the bank is 340, and the receivables right here are 980. So we have 600, 340 plus 980 divided by the current liabilities. The current liabilities being 2,850. There we go, 2,850. So 2,850 down here, and we get this quick ratio of 1.7, which is good. So basically, you just took, you take off of your balance sheet, you can find out the quick ratio or the current ratio. The only difference is the quick ratio just includes the cash and receivables, not all of the assets. Okay? So that's 12.4. Let's go on to 12.5. Okay, the income statement. Okay, let's talk about the income statement. So what is the income statement? So basically the income statement, as you can see, the manager of a small business is responsible for keeping the business financial sound, and the balance sheet plus an income statement are used to analyze. The income statement sometimes is called the earnings statement. It lists the income received and the expenses incurred, and the net profit or loss for over a stated period of time, usually a year. So you take an income statement to see how much income have you earned in that period of a year. So just like the income statement says, it's a statement that will tell you how much you've earned that year. So the manager is to keep this balance in income statement each year. So you have to have someone to do this to see if you're making money. So let's look at this income statement. So the net profit, let's look at this income statement. Here we go. Okay, here's the income statement. So you'll see the sales and the cost of the goods sold, and then you'll find out the sales, cost of the goods sold, and you made a gross profit of what? 102,000, okay? And then you have all the operating expenses here, and the total operating expenses being 81,000. So up here you have the gross profit of 102,000, and then you just subtract. Basically, you're going to find the total operating there, and you'll find the net profit between is going to be, you're going to have profit. So this is your income statement that you made a profit of $21,000 after you took everything off. So you have the sales, the cost of the goods, the gross profit right here, and then you have to subtract the 81,000 from the gross profit, and really you only made 21,000. So that's your income statement. So it just tells the net profit and the net loss. This could be a loss. If you lost money instead of gained money, this would be a net loss. But now you gained $21,000, and that you earned $21,000 in that year period of time, right? This is not that hard. So you just find out an income statement is just how much income you made in that year. And usually you'll have to give this account for tax purposes too. So let's look at a model problem from that. So Walnut Hill Bakery had the following income statement last year, and find the percent for each. So a lot of times they'll put percent. They'll just change it to percent. 100% would be the 100% of the income, right? So here's what you have. You have your sales. You have your cost of the goods sold. So as the sales this is what the goods cost. You had to buy them wholesale, and this is what you made. Your profit you made was 112,000, and then the operating expenses are 73,000. So really, your net profit was 39,000. So now they want to present this as a percent, just to show everybody, of course, the ratio is a percent. To find it as a percent, all you're going to have to do then is to say the cost 100%. Let's look up here. I'll show you up here a little bit in your book. So here's an example. Your sales are going to be 100%. The cost of your goods sold, and you'll find out the percent. What is 133 of 235? And you'll find that's 57%. Then you subtract this and you get 43% would be the gross profit, 43%. And now you take basically, as for that 43% now, the operating expenses will end up being 34% as you calculate this 81% of 235, and you'll see 34%, and then you'll find 21,000, and you'll find that's 9%. So you're finding that the percentage. So let's look at the problem now again to find those percentages. To find the cost of goods as a percent of sales, find what percent is 95,000 of 207. So you divide 95,000 to, here's the 207, 95,000 over 207, and you get, it's 46%. So 95 is going to be 46% of the cost of the goods. And then you subtract the next here. Let's see. There we go. And so then we're going to subtract, we found that 46%. Now we're going to subtract, as we subtract this, the 100, we've got 112, the 112,000, what percent? So to find the gross profit as a percent, find what percent is 112. Now what is 112 over 270? And you find out from the calculator, it's 54%. Then to find the operating expense, you find out what percent 73,000 is of 207,000. You'll get 35%. And then down to this, you'll find out what percent is 39. So each one of these percent goes by the 100%, which is 207. 207% up at the top. It all goes by this percent. So take each one of these over this percent to find out the percents. So the ratios there that you're given. So that's going on when we're talking about we went on from the income statement to the ratios related to sales. So let's go on to the ratios related to sales. Okay, sorry I'm so wiggly with these. I don't have a very good, there we go. Ratios related to sales. So this is related to sales. So a business must maintain a proper balance between sales and assets. So you have two ratios that they use to measure the relationship between the average collection period and inventory turnover. So the average collection period is a measure of the number of days needed to collect the accounts receivable. So basically, it's how long are you going to take to collect your money after you sold certain things? How long is it going to take for you to collect your money? So if it's too long, you're going to have a problem, right? So it's the average daily sales over the annual sales divided by 360 days, because there's 360 days in a year. So you're going to take the average daily sales equals the annual sales, how much you made every year. So this is how much money you made, and you're going to divide that money by 365 and see how much money you're making each day, right? To find your average daily sales. And now your average collection period, you're going to take your accounts receivable and you're going to divide them by your average daily sales to see how long it's taking, how many days it's taking for you to collect your money, right? If it's taking too long to collect your money, say that you did a service, say that you're a contractor, a builder, a painter, and you painted somebody, and if they're going to take, we're not going to pay you for like another 2 months. So that means basically your collection period is too long, that they need to pay sooner than that, right? So the model problem here was Bradley Street Garage had a total annual sales of 198,000 and have 11,400 in accounts receivable. So find the average collection period to the nearest whole day. So first of all, to find the average sales by dividing the total annual sales, that's what we have, the annual sales right here, divided by 365 days, and we'll have our average sales that we make every day. Let me put this in here so you can see it better. Every day is $542 we're making averagely every day, right? So now in the next, we're going to find the average collection period by dividing the accounts receivable by the average daily sales. So the accounts receivable we already have right there is 11,400, and then we'll divide it by the average daily sales, which are $502 a day, and the average collection period would be 21 days. So it's taking 21 days to collect. So that's pretty good, because really, as you divide this up, the average collection period should be no more than 1 1/3 times the credit period. For example, if the credit period is 30 days, the average collection period should be no more than 40 days. So if people are paying you after 40 days, then your collection period is too long, right? It's just how long is it going to take to get your money for your services? So that's the related to sales, the average daily sales to the average collection period. Okay, so let's finish up here talking about the inventory turnover. So the inventory turnover is the measure of how many times the value of the inventory is sold in 1 year. Two methods are by dividing the cost of the goods sold by the average inventory, or dividing the amount of sales by the average inventory. So a high inventory turnover means that the goods are being sold right away. So if you have things on the shelf, really this is saying how fast are your things on your shelf being sold? You know, are they sitting on your shelf for a long period of time? Your inventory turnover. So you want to know how fast your inventory is being sold. So are they being sold quickly, or that adequate stock is kept, or maybe they're being sold too quick and you can't keep it up and you keep having to order things. It's taking so long to order things that people aren't buying them because it takes too long to get the orders in. That's another thing. So to do this, you take the inventory turnover and divide by the sales and the average inventory. So let's do that problem. See how that. Sometimes you can't really figure this out until you do a problem. So let's look at the problem here. So Fan Bazaar has an average inventory of $12,000. The annual sales last year were $42,000. Find the inventory turnover. So basically you're going to divide the annual sales by the average inventory. Just divide it, and you get 3.5 inventory turnover. It's kind of telling you if your inventory is selling. A 3.5 is good, which means it is selling. So you have annual sales last year, 42,000, and an average inventory of 12,000, 3.5 inventory turnover. So you just have to go by the ratios, yeah? So let's go on. The next is going to be your payroll record. So payroll record, I think I'll probably payroll record is when you hire your employees and how you need to keep a record of them, how much they're making mainly for tax purposes. So let's stop right there and we'll go that into the next.